Hello, I am Mrs. Beret. Thank you for joining me today for this Algebra 1 mini recording about transforming formulas. The goals for this lesson are, first, to be able to rewrite a formula with one transformation, to be able to rewrite a formula with multiple transformations, and to be able to apply a transformed formula to a real-world application. We're going to do examples of each of these today. I'm going to start out with the definition of formula. A formula is an equation that describes the relationship between two or more real-world quantities. And sometimes you're going to need to rearrange a formula to make it convenient to calculate what you need. We'll take a look at that in some of these examples today. Let's start off with a few examples of rewriting formulas with transformations. This first problem says solve the formula for the indicated variable. The formula is V equals L times W times H, and we are going to solve this for H. We're going to solve for H here. Now this is a good problem to do because these variables actually have a meaning. V stands for volume. This is volume equals length times width times height. And we'll talk more about that. You learn more about that in geometry. But those variables do mean something here. And we're going to go ahead and solve for H. And what I have here is multiplication L times W times H. And the reason I used cursive here is so that that L does not look like a 1. That's a common mistake. You don't want the L to look like a 1. So what we're going to do to undo this multiplication is just go ahead and divide both sides by the L and the W. Remember, the golden rule to solving equations is to divide whatever you do to one side, you got to do to the other side of the equation as well. So when I divide by LW on one side, I'm going to divide by LW on the other side. And what that's going to happen there, these are going to cancel out, and we're just going to have an H left, which is what we're trying to do. We're just trying to solve for H. So we get H equals V over LW. And because of symmetry, we can rewrite that. Instead of V over LW equals H equals V over LW. So we just took a formula, V equals L times W times H, and we solved it. We just rearranged it, solving for H. And we're going to do the same thing in this next example. This next example says number 2, C equals 2 pi r, and in this case we're going to solve for r. We're going to solve for r here. And again, you'll learn more about this in geometry, but these variables do have meanings as well. This is the circumference of a circle. Circumference equals 2 pi times the radius. And we're not going to worry about solving a geometry problem right now. We're actually going to use algebra to solve for r. So I'm going to do this same way I did number 1, and I'm going to divide both sides by 2 and pi. This little symbol, if you haven't seen it before, is pi. And pi is about 3.14. Talk more about pi in different lessons. So here my 2's and my pi's are going to cancel out, just leaving me with r. So r is going to equal C over 2 pi. And again, all we did was rearrange the formula we started with to solve it for a different variable. First, C was solved for. We rearranged it to solve for r. So r equals C over 2 pi. And we'll continue on doing some more rewriting of formulas with transformations. These are going to be a few more steps than the first problems we looked at. Number 3 says solve the formula for the indicated variable, and this one is P equals 2L plus 2W. This is actually the formula for perimeter of a rectangle. Perimeter equals twice the length plus twice the width. And we're going to solve for this one for L. We're going to solve for L, or length. I'm going to start, I'm just going to use algebra to do this. I'm going to start by subtracting 2w from both sides. Because I'm trying to get L by itself. So anything that's not L, I need to just get over to the other side of that equal sign. And that'll give me P minus 2w equals 2L. Now to solve for L, I just need to get rid of that 2 in front of it. I'm going to do that by dividing by 2. And what we do is we divide everything, both sides by 2. Now there's a couple ways we can leave this answer. We're going to divide this whole side by 2. So L is equal to P minus 2w over 2. So we could also write, and that would be a perfectly acceptable answer, this could also be written as P over 2 minus 2w over 2. If you want to choose to write it that way, we're going to need to cancel these 2's out and rewrite it as P over 2 minus w. So either one of these is fine. But keep in mind, if you're doing multiple choice question, it might be one or the other. So you need to realize that both of these are equivalent to each other. Okay, for number 4, we are going to solve for x in this case. And the formula we're going to use is 2 times the quantity x plus 45 equals y. So I'm going to start off doing this one. Remember, I'm solving for x, so anything that's not x I want on the other side. I'm going to start off by dividing by 2. Whatever I do to one side of the equal sign, I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. And that's going to leave me with x plus 45 equals y over 2. And then I'm going to subtract 45 from both sides. And that will leave me with x equals y over 2 minus 45. So again, I just took that original equation that they gave me and I solved it for x instead of y. Initially y was solved for. Now I've got x equals y over 2, or y divided by 2 minus 45. Okay, now we're going to do a real world example here about the radius of a circle. We're going to do 3 parts here. Part A, we're going to solve the formula for the desired variable. And Part B, we're going to use the transformed formula to solve the problem. And in Part C, we're going to state our answer in a complete sentence. So, here's the problem. Find the radius of a circle with an area of 49 square centimeters. And we're going to use the formula A equals pi r squared. Again, there's the pi symbol. This is a formula for the area of a circle. Now part A says solve the formula for the desired variable. In this case, the desired variable says to find the radius. So the desired variable is r. That's what we're going to solve for. So I'll go ahead and do that first by dividing both sides by pi. That'll leave me with r squared equals a over pi. And then if I want to get that r by itself, I'm going to go ahead and take the square root of both sides. And so that gives me r equals the square root of a over pi. So I did part A. I solved for the desired variable. Part B says use that formula to solve the problem. So here's my formula. R equals the square root of A over pi. And it told us in this problem that A is 49. So I'm going to go ahead and plug 49 in for that A. And that will give me the square root of 49 over pi. Now, depending on whether or not you have a calculator, this is definitely something that calculator would be useful for. If not, you can leave it. We could take the square root of 49, which is 7, over the square root of pi. Remember I said pi is about 3.14. If we use 3.14 as pi, we will get an answer for a radius of 3.95. So that's my answer for the radius. So I answered part B to solve for R, and part C, we're going to go ahead and write this, state our answer in a complete sentence. So, the question, find the radius of a circle with an area of 49 square centimeters. So I'm going to say the radius of a circle with an area of 49 square centimeters is 3.95 centimeters. Remember, we got to keep centimeters in there as part of our answer. So that's how you solve for the radius of a circle when you're given the area. Okay, let's do one more application problem. This is about slope-intercept form. And slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. And we're going to do the same thing in this problem. We're going to start by solving the formula for the desired variable. So let's figure out what the desired variable is. This says use the formula y equals mx plus b to compute the slope of the line m. So what we want to do is solve for m. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and solve for m. I'm going to use algebra to do this. I'm going to start by subtracting b from both sides. So y minus b equals m times x. So I'm getting there. I'm trying to get m by itself. Now I've got an x right next to it, times. So I'm going to undo that multiplication by dividing by x. Whatever I do to one side, I've got to do the same thing to the other side. So in this case, we're going to get m equals y minus b over x. That is the answer to part A. We solved for m. Part B says use that transform formula to solve the problem. Now, we're given a couple things in this problem. Let me rewrite what we just solved. M equals y minus b over x. Okay, we are given everything we need to solve here. We're given that x is 4, y is 15, and b is 7. So I'm going to go ahead and plug those values in for the y, the b, and the x over here. So y is 15, so m is going to equal 15 minus b, which is 7, over x, which is 4. And 15 minus 7 is 8, and 8 divided by 4 is 2. So there's my answer. M equals 2. We solved part B. Now part C. So state your answer in a complete sentence. So go ahead and do that. Use the formula to solve for the slope. So we will say the slope of a line M is 2 if x equals 4, y equals 15, and b equals 7. There's our answer to part C. All right, let's just review the goals for this lesson one more time. Make sure we covered everything that we need to. We needed to rewrite a formula with one transformation. We did problems like that. Rewrite a formula with multiple transformations. We did as well. And we did a few problems also applying a transformed formula to a real-world application. So that is all for today. If you have any questions, feel free to contact your Algebra 1 teacher via email or by phone, or attend an office hour. Thanks again for joining me.